All right. I want to point out in your textbook, so however you are accessing your textbook, it's great. But I want to point out a couple of things in the back of the textbook. And the reason why I do this is because it's really going to help you with this chapter on sound and looking at the sound intensity, the decibels, and working with the decibels that are going on. You probably haven't looked at logarithms in a long time. And so I want to point out a couple of things for you because when we work with decibels, we have to work with our logarithms. So what I have done is if you go to Appendix A in your textbook, you will find a page here that gives you your mathematics associated with logarithms. And I want to highlight that these two examples that they give you in the textbook are related directly to sound and our sound intensity problems. So I encourage you really to come back and look at these examples, and we'll talk a little bit more about these tomorrow, but I wanted you to have them today as you started diving into finishing up your simple harmonic motion homework, starting your sound homework, and looking at the sound. I wanted you to be able to see that you've got your math help right here in Appendix A of your text. So that will help you out. Couple other things I want to point out for you, so people are aware and they know it's there. Yeah, I figured I did that to myself. Is you have additional resources here. They've got animations, you've got your simulations. I've got how your ear works for those of you that are headed to medical or those of you that are dealing with veterinary. It's really cool to look at how the ear works. For those of you that are headed to veterinary, I found out that dogs have like 11 different muscles in their ears, and that dogs, that part of the head tilt that they do is to really focus in on the hearing. And so they actually can, like we focus with our eyes, even we can do it, but not like a dog. A dog can hear much better than we can. But and you think about it, certain dogs have certain ears to pick up certain things. If you think about the fox that has the really big ears to hear underground, to hear the little critter scurrying under, but how that our brain deals with those signals, I encourage you to go in and look at how the ear works. We have Dalmatians, and Dalmatians have a tendency to be deaf. They also have a tendency not to have very good directional hearing, that it has a hard time for them to triangulate onto a sound. And that's kind of an interesting thing that's there. So that's there for you all. This gets you the refresher that I talked about for the PhET program. I've also provided some notes for the Doppler effect that has a couple of examples. You have some additional examples in here for simple harmonic motion, strobes on a turntable. So you've got those pieces there. I also have more examples specifically for sound, looking at the shock wave, how a shock wave will travel. We'll talk more tomorrow about pitch, beats, timbre, those aspects of sound. Why does a trombone sound differently than a violin? How we set up standing waves. There are amplitude relates to volume. We look at the speed of sound in propane. There's some really cool examples in there for that, and we'll come back to that tomorrow. So I'm going to stop there, open it. I'll stick around for anybody's questions. And I will try to get these videos